Welcome, everybody. We're really excited to share some insights with you today on one of the newer schools in the BASIS International Bilingual School Network, BASIS Bilingual School Shenzhen. Really excited to share the insights on this particular school. It is something that is unique within our network, being our first bilingual school. But we appreciate you joining us today. So for those that are in the Western Hemisphere, good evening. And those that are in Asia, good morning. Appreciate you participating with us today, and excited to be sharing the insights with you on a BASIS Bilingual School Shenzhen. My name is Tim Smith, and today some of the things we'll be covering is we'll be talking about the BASIS International Bilingual Schools as a whole, touching on the network. Of course, we'll be speaking today particularly about BASIS Bilingual School Shenzhen. We'll be talking about the benefits and some of the visa requirements necessary for our schools. And we're looking forward to hearing from Connor Jones, who's the executive head of school at BASIS Bilingual School Shenzhen. So those of us that will be speaking today, of course, myself, I'm Tim Smith, Vice President of Global Talent Strategy with BASIS International Schools. Connor Jones is the executive head of school with BASIS Bilingual School Shenzhen. And Tony Cagle is the international recruiter who's working with the bilingual school in Shenzhen directly as well. So to start things off, a couple of things we wanted to share that are somewhat unique about teaching with BASIS International Bilingual Schools. And a lot of the insights that we do have are certainly driven by, number one, our mission and what the teachers have shared with us about what they have actually enjoyed about being with us. So something that is really important to us is our mission. Our mission is something that drives all aspects of what we do. It's something that is not just a plaque on the wall, but something that we really feel motivated towards. So touching on these key things, the BASIS International Schools mission is to provide our students with a transformative early childhood and K-12 education. The cutting edge BASIS curriculum through exceptional teaching and faculty mentoring will produce graduates who have broad intellectual capabilities, international perspectives, critical thinking proficiency, and creative problem-solving skills to be leaders in the future academic and professional lives. Something that is a key part of our mission that's probably most relevant to teachers who are joining us today and considering opportunities with us is really the piece about exceptional teaching and faculty mentoring. It's something that we really focus on, both in terms of having great instruction within the classroom. That's something that stands out within our schools and is particularly noticeable, but also the focus that we have on faculty mentoring, professional development, and what it is that we look to do to really enhance the abilities and instruction of our teachers. One of the things that we really commit to, not just say, but again, really commit to, is that once an individual is with us, they'll be a better teacher having been with us than before they joined. And that's something we really look forward to committing to somebody moving their career with us through the BASIS International Schools. Some of the things that stand out that people have really enjoyed about being with us is, number one, I always hear about the collaborative environment that we do have. You're working with other really exceptional teachers. You learn from multiple different teaching approaches. We don't look for individuals with any single type of curriculum or background. And so people are coming from different curricula, different experiences, and you're able to kind of share those insights through the great collaboration that we do have. Number two, I always hear about the academic culture. There's high academic expectations, both for ourselves in terms of what we present to students and elevating their understanding and knowledge, but also the curriculum is one that has some pretty good rigor. It encourages achievement, and we really look to drive and elevate student abilities through what we accomplish. Three, we hear about the network and being a part of a broader network and the career opportunities that offers individuals is something that in some cases can be unique across international schools. The network is very highly respected. It's a rapidly growing group of schools within China with broader global connections, which we'll touch on a little bit later. And this creates greater career opportunities, not only being able to take on new opportunities in different locations, but also as we continue to open new schools, individuals are able to take on new positions, new roles with greater responsibility. People can become a founding member of faculty at a new school. And so there's different experiences people can experience being a part of the BASIS network. Lastly, one of the other great things I constantly hear about is just how great the students are. We really get a chance to teach students that are motivated to learn, that really do want to excel, they're curious, and it's just that intellectual curiosity that we love to continue to spur and really model for the students. The students are just a delight to work with. There's not significant behavioral issues that some people have spoken about in other areas. And being able to really truly get the chance to teach, to really be appreciated as a teacher is something that people have really enjoyed. Speaking of that component, one of the things that people have spoken about that they've really enjoyed about being in China is that culture that really deeply values education, and teachers are so respected. The support that teachers have from parents is really quite exceptional, and they really look to see what they can do to help the student, help support the teacher in teaching the student, and something that has been unique for many individuals. One of the other things that people constantly talk about being and living in China is just how convenient modern living is. The really modern cities with cutting edge technology, they speak about how safe it is. They talk about how easy public transportation is. Really makes it very convenient to live in China. Today we're talking specifically about Shenzhen and great public transportation. The subway system is great, very clean. The trains come along on a very frequent, pretty consistent frequency, and everything is very convenient. You can order anything online or through your phone, have it delivered, whether it's food or materials or gifts. Have quick access to everything that is very readily available to you. One of the other things that people talk about is really being a part of experiencing a dynamic culture. One of the things that we're really focused on is really blending both Eastern and Western philosophies and experiences. And one of the things that I've heard that really stands out is people have an opportunity to be a part of a culture that in a country that is has growing prominence on the global stage, and being able to participate in that and learn from being there, as well as sharing insights to individuals who will be future leaders within that country, is a very unique experience to be able to have an impact on something that will be a very significant aspect in the global dynamics as we move forward. So we're sharing a couple of those insights. One of the things we wanted to focus on today is certainly talking about BASIS Bilingual School Shenzhen. So to speak about the school there, we do have Connor Jones with us to speak to his school, share some insights there. So Connor Jones is the executive head of school at BASIS Bilingual School Shenzhen. Connor, welcome. Really great to be able to have you on with us and share about your school.
Thanks, Tim, and welcome everybody. It is an absolute pleasure to be able to talk about the BASIS Bilingual School of Shenzhen. As Tim mentioned, this is the first bilingual school in our network. Our network is currently 6 schools, and it is very exciting to be on the cutting edge of education as a whole in China. The bilingual system is taking off, and it's really exciting times to be. If you're at all bored with education, this is a place that is going to excite you and make you work every day on how to fulfill your craft. But I'll get to that in a moment. Allow me to just take a moment to introduce myself. Connor Jones. I'm Canadian. I've had more than 30 years, just adding that up, 30 years in education and administration. Prior to joining BASIS, I was in Toronto in both the public and independent school system, teacher, drama and English teacher, head of department. I worked in the advancement and admission end of schools and spent 9 years as head of school at a top tier school in Toronto. Loved that, loved all of that experience. So what made me look ahead to China? At that time, I'd grown the school that I was at to really quite an amazing facility, amazing people, and was looking for a new challenge. I had a very good friend who was over here in China, and I was speaking with him, and he said, I was just excited by the things that he was doing. And so I actually got in touch with somebody who knew Basis, and I started what was kind of a long process of getting to know Basis. It was a little bit different educational system than I'd been in. And at that time, I would have said, it's school for kids that like school. I mean, we have schools for kids that like sports or arts. This is a school for kids who actually like school. They like to learn. They like to be involved. And it, as a result, is a school for teachers who like to practice their craft, who want to become better teachers. And one of the lines that attracted me to becoming an administrator here was a teacher-led culture of excellence, where we have a view that the school's about the students, obviously, and most importantly, but how do you know what those students need and how do you bring that forward? A teacher-led culture of excellence, something I'll return to, but that's something that struck me as an administrator that I wanted to get involved in. When I first came to China, I joined Basis as a chief instructional officer. And that meant that I went around to all 6 schools in the network and spent time with their administrators, with their teachers, learning about the program and working with individuals on how we could improve our teaching and learning. One of the big things that came from that is we've introduced a coaching system so that heads of schools, heads of division, they work to coach their administrative staff. The chairs, we have a chair system, they work coaching in a non-evaluative form with their staff. And then we created these learning groups so that people that have interest in the same, advancing the same concepts could be working together, whether it's in a book group or taking a course together. A lot of this is turned online during the COVID pandemic, whereas we have a lot of professional development. At the moment, we're really focused on developing each other and having the school's professional development days working to share, whether it's online, webinars like this, but we do hope to be able to move back into the larger world of professional development. I came over here and spent the first 6 months touring the schools, getting to know the people, and really digging into what I thought were the strengths of Basis, but I also noted that there are some things we could improve. And this is another thing I liked is as we brought those ideas forward to what we call the chief, there's a CHOS office, the Chief Educational Head of School office. We met regular with roundtable and we're able to bring those things on and make improvements. It's a system that we're still very young in China. And so the systems aren't 100% set, which means that you can improve them. I liked that. I then was going to become the founding head of the 2nd bilingual school in China, or Basis school in China in Guangzhou. I'm very excited about that, but that was delayed 1 year. And so I was given the opportunity to join the staff here as executive head of school. And when I was touring around, I must say, I spent 3 months living on campus here, and the opportunity to come and join the staff here was really exciting. This actually would have been my first choice to come and be part of the team here. It was very exciting. I have a great team here. The administration is very focused on helping the teachers do their jobs. In fact, one of them said, a great way to look at it is to say, we try and give every teacher the tools that they need to do their job, the support they need to do their job, and get out of the way so they can do their job. I like that. You're seeing now during the webinar some of the photos. I want to talk for a second about the school. I've been in many schools. This one it's now in its second year of operation, but really the first year with the facilities completed. It is more like a university campus than it is like most elementary or high schools that I've been to. Has a huge 500-seat theater, has a huge swimming pool. Beside the 500-seat theater is a huge black box theater, and in between them is a performance space. There's music rooms that with facilities I've never seen. The chemistry labs look like something that are very clearly professionally built. The bio labs, you could put them in a science fiction film. They're up to date, cutting edge, and the people that get to use these, there's a sense of joy of having these spaces. The phys ed team, they have a triple gym that is just brand new and stunning. You're seeing now a picture of the soccer field that the school kind of is built in a U around this huge play space that the kids get to have recess in. And at lunchtime, recess time, the kids are out there just having a ball. And so much of the staff are out there not supervising, but playing with the kids. So it's a really nice community that's here. I am here with my family. My two kids are 3 and 5 and are attending at the Basis International School. Shenzhen is a huge city. So the international school is in Shenzhen in an area called Shekou, which is incredible. A lot of expats, absolutely beautiful. Not far away is Fujian, and that's where the bilingual school is. We're sister schools. And yet they have an incredible cultural shift here. So you're seeing some more pictures of those cities. We'll jump ahead. Sorry, I'm a little bit. I'm so excited to talk about the school and the space. I'm a little bit all over the place. So forgive me. I'll talk for a moment about life in Shenzhen here. As Tim mentioned, you can get anything delivered almost, it seems, instantly. Certainly compared by North American standards. The only thing that I would say is you cannot lose your phone, or you're going to find life in China very, very difficult, because everything comes through your phone, your WeChat, your pay systems, your ordering. And so this is something that it took me a little while to get used to. But my wife has been amazing. There's nothing that we can't get. Even my daughter liked a particular brand of cereal that we found hard to get. We were able to get it within just a couple of days and a couple of clicks of the button. So coming to China, particularly to Shenzhen, is in some ways easy, as an easy expat experience. It has all of the culture and challenges that you might want and expect and be looking forward to, but it really doesn't have the hardship. If you're looking for a hardship post, this isn't it. This is a big metropolitan it's kind of like New York City, but much cleaner and much, much larger. You can get everything that you want here. And you have various options. So Fujian, where the school is located, has one of the largest malls, and you can see there the Pin'an building, which is the 4th largest building in the world, I believe. You can see that from the roof of my school. It's gorgeous. And yet on the other side of the road, if you wanted to cross over to where we would get a Starbucks, there's a lot more of a cultural feel. So you don't feel like you're in a huge city. I really like Fujian. We have staff housing here, and many of our staff take advantage of this beautiful apartment building that we have here. Great facilities. It's hard to be late for work when you're living on campus, but many also choose to live off campus and have a little bit more sense of the cultural feel of living here. Tim talked about the fact that, it's easy to get around. You can, where we live in Fujian, Shekou, it's easy to kind of almost New York City style, raise your hand and grab a cab, but you can certainly on your phone get a Didi, which is like an Uber. It's cheap, safe, convenient. To talk to the safety for a second, it's almost unusual how safe you feel here. I was previously walking home at about 1 o'clock at night from a teaching function, an event, and never dawned on me that maybe it's not safe to walk. It's absolutely safe. My children, we were playing in a park, and they're just playing with some other kids and went out of sight. And in North America, I must admit, my tensions would, I've lost sight of my kids. Here, No, they're 100% safe. It's really quite a lovely city. So much so that there's a sense of comfort there's this anxiety that maybe you don't even recognize you have that just melts away when you're here. Very easy to get around. My wife and children are taking language courses, which is amazing. I'm working on it, but it's very easy to get around with just English. You can be monolingual until you get the opportunity to be bilingual. We'd like to have that happen here. Of course, instruction here at the school is predominantly in English. We do have, as a bilingual, we have a Chinese language instruction for Chinese literature, language, and culture, but most of the instruction happens in English. I'm going to talk about the best parts of the school, but that really is going to actually talk about the best parts of our students. The kids here are really, really nice. They want to be in school. They like being in school. They are generally very, very happy. They work incredibly hard. There is this sense that hard work is a cultural value, that doing well in school is a value. And so they're really interested in being here. They're interested in learning. And for some people as teachers, maybe they haven't quite experienced that. It's a little unusual to come into a class and have kids asking for more homework or asking, could you give them some more, this wasn't hard enough, or explain something, or that they've come up with a new idea. They're engaged, they're playful, they're learning. I really enjoy that aspect of it. And for some of our teachers, it's a bit surprising, and I enjoy seeing the teachers being challenged in a really positive and perhaps new way to be able to expand their teaching. What kind of person are we looking for here? We're looking for somebody who wants to be part of that teacher-led excellence, who knows that they're good but wants to be better, who maybe are looking around the school that they're at and thinking, this is great, I've been here for a number of years, I really like it, I like my peers, I like what I'm doing, but is there something more? And the answer is yes, there is something more. Coming to Basis Bilingual School in Shenzhen is going to take the skills that you have and test them, and it's going to make you better. Not in a negative way, but in the sense that you have to be all that you can be as a teacher. When you've got these kids in front of you and there's diverse learning, language skills, academic skills in the classes, we're not perfect. And you've got students, whatever their ability, they're interested in getting better. And so it challenges you as a staff member to get better. Another thing about our Basis schools here is all of our expat teachers, we call subject expert teachers or SET, are working with LETs or local expert teachers. So there's always two people in the class. We work on a co-teaching model. We want both teachers to be teaching all the time, or one leading and the other supporting. So the co-teaching model is something we're working on. And one of the best parts of that, because of the LET, there's not going to be a language barrier in what we're trying to instruct. And we work very hard to make sure that we can move at a strong pace. We're able to reach out to our students. We still differentiate, not still, we have to differentiate. But part of that is making us a better teacher. Part of that is making us a better community. We have grade level leaders who help keep us on track. We have department chairs. And if you're in the part of your career where you're looking to say, I'd like to do a couple more years teaching, but I am interested in looking towards administrative opportunities, Basis is growing as a network, and so is our school. We are at 1,450 students in our second year of operation. We'll be taking in another 500 students to move us up to grade 10. So pre-K to grade 10, and we'll grow 11 and 12 over the next 2 years. There is some talk about us moving to even a second campus. We're having this weekend and next weekend, we're having admission testing, 800 students each weekend coming in and applying to the school. So there's a real buzz about Basis Bilingual here, and there's real desire to get involved and get in. So I'm very excited about all of that. I feel like I've jumped around a little bit. I had some notes, but maybe my enthusiasm has sent me in a bit of an odd direction here. let me return to the school for a moment. One of the things that I like is it is a brand new school, but it is funded in a way that I've rarely seen in my career. If you need something, it's going to show up. It may not show up as quick as getting an order on your phone, but we know that the students are important, that what we need to do in order to be able to educate them, we listen to our teachers and working on that. As a second year school, there's still some things that we're figuring out. And anybody that would come and join us next year, you're still part of our founding faculty. Until we hit a full capacity of pre-K1 to grade 12, we are still growing. We're still setting our policies and procedures. Our deans, I met with the deans this morning because our Q1 grades are going out. And it was really lovely to see us figuring out what are our policies and procedures for any students that might be falling through the gaps. How can we make sure that there are no gaps? And it was really heartwarming. Last weekend, because many people are here in China, for many people that have been away from their friends and loved ones, there was a big event that the parent company put on. Each of the schools went to a big 4-star hotel. Our school went to a hotel, international hotel on the beach, and everybody was put up at the hotel overnight. There was a big banquet, celebrations, people from operations, academics, everybody together. It was really a lovely event. Some people stayed over for the whole weekend. To be able to, I don't know where everybody's watching this from, but for me as a Canadian, to be able to be playing on the beach, in the water at this time of year it's unheard of. My sister-in-law sent me a picture of snow in Toronto. So I'm very excited to be here in Shenzhen for many reasons, but one of them is the quality of life here is really, really exceptional. I know that Tim will cover this, but I can tell you that the faculty here are very well supported, and are happy with the package, the benefits. You can live very, very well here in Shenzhen, have a very high quality of life, have a high quality of teaching and joy in your job, and put all of that together into a package. So I'm very happy for that. There's also the idea that you may come over by yourself, but we're a community here. Our expat community and our LET community, we're all here united on the same thing. There's a lot of events that are going on. We have a staff bowling team. Where our new facility, somebody was playing tennis on the roof the other day, on the weekend, trying to get a tennis club going. There's so much community built around the teachers that you might think you're coming to China and it's isolating. It's not. You've got an entire community based around you that's going to help you as a professional and socially and emotionally to get right on track. Tim, I'm going to ask if I've covered the things I'm supposed to cover. I'm excited. I could just keep going on, and I don't want to drone on. I want to make sure I'm on tack.
It's really great to hear your experience, and I think that's something that people who get there, you've really spoken to. I think a lot of what I hear as well. One of the things that has really stood out to me. You talk about Shenzhen being a very large city. It's a big city. One of the things I've really enjoyed about Shenzhen is that there's a lot of green space. So the way that the city has been planned and grown, it's a relatively new city. 35 years ago, it was a fishing village, fishing town, and now you've got it's what, 4th or 5th largest city in China. But the way that they've planned as they've gone through that growth, I think has really stood out to me as something that I really like. I love the green space. I love the parks. There's some smaller mountains. I'm from the Mountain West in the U.S., and so the mountains are smaller than what I'm used to. But I really love some of the nature space that there is. You can go for some short hikes and walking along the coast there as well. It really stands out to me as some things I really enjoyed.
So that's I jump in there. That's two things that I just kind of started already. I'm realizing as I'm talking to you, I'm already starting to take for granted. There's a hike that we take that goes up one of the 6 mountains that are kind of interspersed inside of Shenzhen. and it's really, it's stunning and gorgeous, and it's great exercise. And yet if we turn, instead of going left out of our house, we go right, we walk down to the boardwalk, and where our kids are playing in these great parks, we're on the water, on the China Sea. So it's incredible. And when we look across the water, we're seeing the extension of Hong Kong. It's not far away at all.
Yeah, it is. It's great. I really like how you talked about, the engagement of the students. And I always hear about just this great intellectual curiosity that the students have. They are so engaged, and I love seeing that. It's just, this particular school has really stood out in terms of the growth and the interest. You touched on, some of those numbers being at, 1,500 students in a second year. I think really speaks to the level of interest, the stability of the school, the growth that the school has had. And it's, I mean, for our first bilingual school, this has been, so tremendously successful that you guys have done a great job, and the environment there has really played out.
Well, thank you for that, Tim. And I will say I'm very forthright. We're still learning. Like, there's still things that we're figuring out. The growth has been so massive, where we introduce grade level leaders because we realized, we've got more sections than we can deal with department heads. Where we had a meeting this morning about deans, and we're going to bring in a new set of academic deans. And these decisions are being made not from my office, they're being made as we're discussing as a community. What do we need? What would work? How can we make this place better? That's an unusual situation for many teachers to find themselves in, where they have I'll give you an honest, 2 days ago, somebody was mentioning that there's no staff room in this wing of the building, and because of schedule, it's too hard. So they're turning space into a staff room and have it in a couple of weeks. That kind of listening to the staff and actually doing something, I'm actually even amazed that we're able to do it so quickly here. It makes me very excited to be a leader here.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, thanks for sharing those insights. I really do appreciate it. One question I kind of have is, in terms of, it is a co-teaching model. And I know that other places, there's an expat teacher, and there's sometimes a local teacher. And, sometimes one is a lead teacher and one is kind of like an assistant teacher. Can you kind of speak to, because I know that our model really focuses co-equal teachers. Can you talk about what it is that you've heard some of the teachers discuss in terms of what they've liked about the model, what has stood out, what has been beneficial, what's been challenging? To maybe speak to that just a little bit more.
That's a great question, and we could spend a long time on it. Let me speak for a moment that the SET and LET are leftover terms that have grown up with basis, I think, out of the US. And we rather than talking about subject expert and LET, we try and talk about just teachers. And we use the SET, LET more to talk about, we want to make sure that in every classroom there is a local language expert and an international language expert, so that the bilingual experience is happening. And the parents want most of the instruction happening in English. So that's a central tenet of what we do. The local teachers are all usually they're qualified in incredibly much, so much more so than you would see usually in North America or the UK. So they have got great experiences, many of them educated at great universities in the US. And so we have English language speakers that are local speakers that are engaged in education, who are here in order to work on their own craft. So inside your room, there's not as much differences, I think, in other places. Some places talk about co-teaching, and it's really not an even playing field. You have two people in that classroom who know that they can learn from each other. There's different models. We don't force every classroom to do the same thing. And so some teachers learn to work well with each other and continue year over year to co-teach, which is they're both teaching at the same time. Somebody might be doing some board work, some seat work. They'll shift things around. Others, they're going to do a little bit more. Okay, if you take the lead on this math lesson and do the prep on that, I'll work with the kids. But then when we shift to our literacy piece, I'll have prepared that piece. So they're working in tandem, We prefer that they work in a full co-teaching model, and we're doing professional development around that. The best thing is that there's also a third person in the room. There's always going to be a third person, sometimes a fourth. There's going to be a dean. There's going to be somebody in there to help the students if they certainly in our primary, if they need something. So the teacher-student ratio isn't even something we talk about, because there's 3 people in the room at all times, 2 full-time teachers.
Yeah, that's great. And then just point of clarification, so the co-teaching model is more for the primary or elementary division.
Yes,
Correct?
that's right. So all of our primary classes all the way up through grade 5 have a co-teaching model, and we also call it a homeroom model. We try and have the students taught mostly in the same class by those 2 teachers, but we do begin to bring in, we have specialists for phys ed, art, drama, music, STEAM, that is all in the primary. And then we start bringing math specialists even into grade 4, because we do run an advanced program and want to make sure that that's one of those areas that we can bring a math program, get a year or 2 years ahead, so that, I'm sure you might speak to this, as our students get into grade 9, there's some of them are ready to write their first AP exams, and they definitely write their first or second by grade 10. So there's definitely an advanced program that's coming, but it's well thought out, so that we do the prep and the planning starting in primary and middle school. It's pretty heavy, but the students we're redesigning this program so they get more choice, and then it's a pretty clear path that the students are taking by the time they hit high school.
Yeah, that's great. Great. There's a ton that we can speak to, and maybe just a plug for our the blog. There's great insights that have been shared by some of the co-teachers from the school there in Futian. The blog. There's also, in fact, just this week we posted some of the great exciting things that are being done in the robotics and drone activities for the STEAM program. So it really is great. Connor, thank you so much for sharing those insights with us. It's really great.
No problem. Thank you. I'm going to stay through. If there's any questions that come up at any point, please feel free to just bring me back up, and I'll see if I can't address them. Thank you, everybody, for spending your time with us this morning, or if you're watching it as a review, please feel free to reach out. We are a growing school, and we do have teaching opportunities at most grades, most subjects, because people are staying, but because we're growing. So thank you, everyone.
You bet. We'll get to Q&A after a couple more pieces. So we'll go ahead and move on. We're going to touch on the Expat Package. This kind of covers those key pieces as well as some of the requirements that we do have. So for that, I'm going to turn it to our international recruiter working with this school, Tony Cagle.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for sharing your time with us. We're super excited to talk with you about BASIS. So I wanted to take some time just to talk about our Expat Package today, and kind of introduce you, some of the basics to expect as we go through the package. So we do offer a very competitive salary, as well as travel to and from China at the beginning and end of your contract. In addition to the travel at the end and beginning of your contract, we do have a yearly travel allowance that will allow you to travel home for each year, or some of our teachers enjoy traveling around China or the surrounding areas. You can use that travel allowance to do some additional travel as well. So something to be aware of. We do provide housing for all of our teachers. If you are a single teacher, typically you can get a studio or a 1-bedroom apartment near campus. But if you have dependents that are coming over with you, you can probably get a 2- or 3-bedroom apartment. Again, those are usually near or on campus. But some of our teachers, we know some of you out there actually live in China. Maybe you're near a school now and you're interested in moving to that school. We do certainly offer stipends to our teachers. If you have a particular neighborhood that you prefer to live in instead of in the housing that we provide, you can get a stipend for that as well. We have global healthcare coverage for you and your family. Global coverage covers the VIP clinics and luxury hospitals. So they're English-speaking hospitals, similar to what you're probably already used to. We also have tuition for you up to 2 children. If you come over and you are a teaching couple, then you can actually get a tuition waiver for up to 3 of your children, so they can go to school at Basis as well. And then at the end of each year that you're with us, we do have a retirement benefit. So you can go ahead and get a 10% check, a 10% check for your yearly salary. And what you can do is you can apply that towards any sort of retirement of your choice. We do understand that we have people from all over the world, so we want to, options for you. Typically here at Basis, we do 3-year contracts. And at the end of your 3-year contract, you're eligible for a completion bonus of $16,000. And then at the end of that contract, you have some options. A lot of our teachers like to stay on with us, maybe go and try another campus and explore a different part of China. So there's lots of opportunities to look at other schools that we have here at Basis. So now I'd like to talk to you about some of the requirements that we have for our teachers. I know that Connor kind of talked a little bit about, some of the things that we're looking for, but here are a few additional things just to be aware of. So for our requirements, we are looking for teachers who have a degree in their teaching subject, somebody who's an expert in their area. We want somebody who really knows their subject area inside and out. So if you look at our biology teachers, you'll see most of them have a degree in biology. Math teachers, most of them have a degree in math. The exception to that is our early years programs and elementary. Typically, our teachers have elementary education degrees, early learning certificates, things like that. So something to be aware of. We also require that you have 2 years of full-time teaching experience, and that's just to get the correct visa so that you can come over and teach with us. So you do have to have full-time teaching experience in the classroom to be qualified to come over. And one of our biggest things that we're looking for, and I know Connor kind of touched upon this, is a passion for teaching. We want teachers who want to be here, teachers who love working with children, who love what they do for their living. Another thing that we really focus on at Basis is a collaboration. So we're looking for teachers who are willing to collaborate with one another, work together to really promote each other. And the other thing that I really love about us is, we are looking to elevate one another. We are looking for teachers who not only want to improve themselves, but to help each other improve. So I like Connor talked about, those learning groups and teachers really coming together to focus in on common goals. We do have very high standards for our students, but with that, we have very high standards for our teachers too. We are looking for people who not only hold those same expectations of high academic standards for our students, but also who have the ability to scaffold so that the students can reach those high levels. So, we're really looking for somebody who's got the experience, who can really help push the students and make the students really believe in themselves. It is a lot of hard work, so you have to be willing to work hard to come to one of our Basis schools, but it will be a lot of fun along the way. And we're looking for people, who just have that ability to engage the minds, back to that passion. If you have the passion for what you're teaching, you can make the students passionate about it. We have those high academic standards, but in order to get the students to really reach those standards, they have to want to get there. And, we rely on you as teachers to really push our students to get to those standards. A couple of other things to be aware of is we do have some current visa restrictions, with everything kind of going on right now, but we are very lucky in that every single school has a visa team. So we are here to work with you, go through those restrictions, make sure that all of our teachers coming over are able to come over on the correct visa and all of that. So if you have any questions about that, the recruiting team will be happy to cover it with you.
Great. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate you touching on those details. One of the things that Tony had mentioned is that each school does have its own visa office, and they work extremely hard to facilitate that visa process to make it as easy as possible for individuals coming over. It can be, there can be, some hurdles to go through, but you have a tremendous amount of support through the visa process. Add that as well. So a couple of things that we think are important to be aware of in participating with Basis International Bilingual Schools. First off, schools have mostly local students. For the bilingual school, nearly all of the students are local students. So English is a second language for the students at the school. That means you just need to be conscientious of how you integrate ELL or ESL components into your lessons and being able to adjust your lessons so you're really instructing individuals at the level where they are and being able to bring them along so they're really understanding the content that you're delivering. Secondly, flexibility is so important. Tony touched on that a little bit. As we continue to grow, in fact, as Connor discussed, we had about 850 students year one. We went up to 1450. Second year, we're at another 500. So the school continues to change as we grow very rapidly. And with that change, we just need to make sure that people are flexible because things will adjust. So we're looking for people that have that flexibility. And then the last piece is, for any accompanying students, they really should be ready for a basis education. As has been discussed, the basis education, it's more accelerated than what you typically see. It is rigorous and it can be challenging. One thing that we've seen is that, some students may not quite be ready for that level of rigor or the level of acceleration that the basis program does provide. And so we want to make sure that, positions are not just a fit for you as a teacher, but it's also a fit for your family and any accompanying students, because we want to make sure that they're successful as well. So to share some insights on the broader Basis Curriculum Schools network, we are a network, a global network. We have 9 international bilingual schools. We also have 6 Basis independent schools in the United States. Combined, we do have 15 schools. We're continuing to grow, and which offers a lot of great career opportunities throughout the network. In terms of the curriculum, to touch on a couple of pieces, in the early, K through 4 grades, we're really looking to just establish that love of learning, the respect of learning, cultivate that intellectual curiosity that Connor talked about. The students are very engaged. As we move into more of the middle school years, we're cultivating the academic mindset. It's building the critical thinking skills that we want the students to have, so they really understand how to learn and how to pursue their interests. And then in the high school grades, we're really fostering college and university readiness. They're prepared. They're taking college level courses. And so as they move on to university, they're already prepared. They've already participated in the level of work and the level of rigor that they'll be experiencing at a university level. But we're really looking to provide individuals, our students, with the highest quality of education to prepare them to be participants, of course, not just spectators, in the 21st century global workforce of innovation, commerce, and development, with the global mindset that we talked about earlier from our mission. In terms of what that has resulted in, so we take a look at the results of the graduates of our schools. A couple of things really stand out. 96% have been accepted in the top 50 global programs. 77% have been accepted into top 30 universities. So some of the universities where our students have moved on to include Boston University, Cornell, Duke, Imperial College of London, MIT, Rice, UCLA, Chicago, Oxford, University of Toronto, a top school in Canada. Also, we've had individuals go on to great arts schools like Rhode Island School of Design, as well as other phenomenal liberal arts colleges within the United States. So some really great opportunities that students have been able to take advantage of by participating through the BASIS program and graduating from the BASIS International Bilingual Schools. In terms of some of the future growth, what does that look like? Well, we will be expanding throughout China. We'll be opening up schools coming up the next few years, schools in Beijing, Shanghai, Tianjin. We'll be adding an additional bilingual school in Hangzhou. We're also adding a bilingual school in Guangzhou, cities where we already have international schools. So we'll be continuing to expand the footprint, which again means there's opportunities for individuals to take on new responsibilities and functions. So if you'd like to have additional insights, some things that we can certainly suggest and where you can learn more about what it's like to be a part of the BASIS International Bilingual Schools. First off, you can visit our career site, jobs.basisinternationalschools.com, or more particularly, if you visit our blog, there's stories that teachers from across our schools have shared about what their experience has been like, what they've enjoyed, what has been unique, what has been challenging, what they've had to prepare for, what has stood out. You can see that at our blog. It's blog.basisinternationalschools.com. You can also join our interest list. Links to the interest list are available, as well as links to the blog are available on the career site. By joining the interest list, you'll receive communications, occasional updates of what's going on at our schools, new developments, happenings. We'll also send out occasional lists of open positions that we do have. You can certainly follow us on social through LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest as well. See some of the ideas of what teachers are doing across our schools. With that, we do want to open up for Q&A. So Tony has been logging the questions that have come in. So we'll go ahead and start filling the questions. So Tony, what questions have come up? And then we'll direct those across the team to answer the questions.
All right, great. We've had some good questions come through today. Our first one is, if you already live in China, what is the housing allowance typical for basis schools?
It's a great question. So depending on the local market, the housing allowance will vary slightly. So as we're talking about the basis bilingual school, Shenzhen, as Connor had mentioned, we do have on-campus housing. Individuals, if they would like to find their own housing, and they do have access to that allowance. That's something that as you contact your recruiter, based on which school you're speaking about, we can provide you with an update of what that looks like. Typically, it's the housing allowance has been fine to be able to obtain a similar apartment as to what the school provided housing offers as well. Although typically most other housing external from what the school provides may not be furnished. So we do provide full furnished housing directly with the housing allowance. Then you would be able to take a look at what options there are within the market.
Great, thank you, Tim. Next question, what is the difference between basis international schools and our basis bilingual school?
It's a good question. So part of it has to do with some of the curricular programs. So the international schools follow the pretty standard basis curriculum. The bilingual schools are actually combining aspects of the basis curriculum along with aspects of the Chinese national curriculum. So we're combining those pieces. So there are some additional courses that Connor had mentioned, Chinese culture and language. There's some history as well, history courses. Those courses are taught in Chinese. So that's where it's combining those pieces across the curricula. But the main courses are taught in English that do follow the basis curriculum. Question.
Perfect, and this one builds off something Connor had mentioned earlier about the pre-admission evaluations, but what type of pre-admission evaluations are students given to ensure they are able to access the curriculum?
It's a really good question. So as Connor had mentioned, we have a large number of individuals interested in coming. So as part of the enrollment assessment application process, number one is language skills. We do want to assess individuals to make sure that they are prepared. And that's not to say that they have some impossible hurdle to overcome. We do recognize that they are English language learners. It is a second language for them. So as we talked about how important it is to include those components into lessons, it's something that really does stand out. Connor, you may be able to speak a little bit more to some of the specifics of the assessments. Do you want to share some of your insights?
Certainly. We've actually just updated our assessments, and I believe this is going to be the first time we're using them this weekend. So we've created our own basis assessments, particularly around mathematics. But the idea is that over the next little while, we'll create our own basis internal assessments for admissions. We use map testing and map data. And the reason we like that is it gives us a very strong individual, anybody that's familiar with map data knows that we can look at the individual score based on the expectations for somebody at that age. So somebody that's applying now, we can look at the age they are against the test and get a very clear view of them as an individual. And why I actually like the map testing as an entrance is it gives us our first formative assessments as students are coming in. So a teacher sitting with their class already has that first set of map data. Not that it's going to pigeonhole anybody, but it gives something to start with. We found that using the map data wasn't as giving us as clear a picture as we wanted in mathematics. And so we've created our own internal testing. I look forward to seeing those results. But what we can say is that the bar is very high. Somebody just recently yesterday said to me, oh, the bilingual school, I don't even know if my kid can apply there. Well, obviously they can, but we are seen as having a very high standard for entrance.
Right. Thanks, Connor.
Great, next question. Do you anticipate adding any Spanish language in your teaching approaches at the bilingual school?
Not at the moment. We've had people asking for German, for Spanish, for French. At the moment, as we are growing, and we're 18 months into our bilingual school here, I'd say that it's something that we will probably have in the future, particularly as the students move into the high school, more students moving into AP, and might find that they're more arts-centered or language-centered students, which would create a student body and a need for bringing that in. But at the moment, we are just working to try and get English and Mandarin working as well as we can.
Perfect. The next few questions are centered about kind of the hiring process. So we have somebody who asked, if you are 100% interested and committed to being part of the BASIS bilingual community, what are the next steps?
You want to take that one, Tony?
Absolutely. So the next steps would be to go to our website, apply online. Once you've kind of completed your application, we have a series of recruiters here that are going through all the applications, reaching out to candidates that are going to be a good fit. From there, you'll be doing screens with the recruiting team here. So there are several of us that are going through, talking to candidates, getting a good feel. We then submit the team information over to the teams, the schools, and then they'll select out the next portion of candidates for some more interviews with people who are on site there at the school. There'll be lots of talking to people, with BASIS. Yeah, but I would say your first step would be go to our website and you can look at all of the different openings there, find the ones that you're most interested in, and complete an application. All right, next question. Oh.
I would just like to add in there that if you're interested, take a flyer. You maybe not 100. I love that somebody who's 100% committed. Go for it. Let's get in there. But if you're thinking about it, please still take action. Do something now. And the reason for that is we are very happy to have a network of schools. And at this time, we're looking at internal transfers. So there's people at other schools. I got an application from Nanjing the other day. So this is a great time to be in the mix, to get your name and application into the mix. And it also does take a time to get the process for visa and all of those things together, longer than you may think. So in North America, you might think, oh, this isn't a crucial time. I can wait till April or May. I think if you want to assure that you're going to get in where you want to be, get your name in the mix as fast as you can.
Great point. We are very actively hiring right now and filling positions. So,
that's correct.
But yeah, sooner than later.
Great, next question. If you have submitted an application where you selected all of the BASIS schools with this, will this application be viewed? Absolutely. Good. Absolutely. So our team is, going through applications daily. We're going through, selecting out those candidates to move forward. And there's a secondary part to this question. What is the usual time frame in receiving communication after submitting the application? Okay. Perfect. So it can vary. Usually we try and get pretty quickly back to you. So, keep an eye on your email. A lot of times things may go to your junk mail as well and spam. So keep an eye on that. We're usually pretty quick. I would say within a week, we'll be back to you, if not sooner. So just keep an eye on your email and you'll hopefully hear from the team.
If I can also add to the first question in terms of, if somebody submits an application, they check they're interested in any of the schools. One of the things that our recruiting team does is, we keep track of what openings there are across all of the schools. And so if somebody is a math teacher, they're an elementary teacher, or some other specialization, what we'll do is we will consider that individual for the positions that are open. And we have a conversation with you as a candidate. We'll actually ask you, based on what positions, what openings we have, if you have any preference in terms of location, because we do have locations in different types of environments. Some are more in the city, others are more suburban. We do have one of our boarding schools is in kind of it's a remote resort community. And so depending on the type of environment that you prefer, we kind of have a place for you. So the recruiter can certainly talk to you about the different types of locations that we have, what it's like, and work with you on what your preferences are.
Great. It looks like those are all the questions that we have this evening.
Wonderful. So Connor, thank you so much for providing the insights on the school. This has certainly been one of the most exciting school openings that we've ever had in the 20 years that BASIS has been around. Very successful, high amount of interest in this particular school. And so certainly individuals that want to be with a very well-respected school that's in very high demand, please, submit your applications to us for positions with the BASIS Bilingual School in Shenzhen, and we'll look forward to being in touch with you. Appreciate you joining us today, and look forward to being in touch. Thanks, everybody.